Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds.
Hey everybody, this is Evan and John, and you're listening to the Boomer and X Show.
Welcome to this installment of the Boomer and X Sports Shorts. Good morning, Evan. How you doing?
You know, I'm a little tired.
Okay.
We had Gracie's dedication and everything this last weekend,
Yep.
and all the family and everything. It's a little tiring.
Tiring having the family in.
Yeah, it's like a family reunion almost. I mean,
I was there. It
about
was
20 people.
Yeah.
All in my little house.
Yep. Well, in a few minutes we're going to talk about the world's most famous 3-year-old, but before that I want to talk about a 38-year-old, a 35-year-old, a 39-year-old, and a 36-year-old.
But first, just give y'all the categories real quick for this week. Is number one is going to be the old guys in the NFL, the quarterbacks. Number two will be elsewhere in the NFL. 3 is NCAA college last week. 4 is American Pharaoh, and 5 is going to be LSU versus BAMA. And we've got some Mad Dash stuff there at the end we're going to throw in.
That will include some World Series talk.
Yeah, we couldn't give it 5 minutes because
we don't follow baseball that closely. But I did watch, in fact, Game 5, the deciding game. Mm-hmm. I ended up watching a little bit more of that because the Sunday night NFL game unexpectedly became a snoozer.
Yep.
So let's jump right in and pay tribute to some of the
old guys,
elder statesmen in the NFL right now. Starting last Thursday night. Well, yeah, quarterback. Yeah. Starting last Thursday night with Tom Brady, 356 yards, 4 touchdowns. He has been getting it done all season. The Patriots, continue to be undefeated. I've already seen talk of 16-0. I'm not even about to go there.
The Patriots?
Yeah, I'm not even about to go there just yet. It's too early. But they're playing very, very well. And, again, Tom Brady, another 4-touchdown performance. Carson Palmer at 35, and he turns 36 next month. 374 yards and 4 touchdowns. When you go back to last season before he got hurt, he's among the hottest quarterbacks in the entire NFL.
Yep.
And Arizona's playing very well.
And he's got his weapons back, too. Well, Fitzgerald's still healthy.
Brown was out, but it's a hamstring. He should be back after their bye week coming up this week. He should be back. So,
my favorite little guy out of all of these is Manning.
Manning throws for 340 yards in their win, but no touchdowns the other night. And not to take anything away from Manning, and I do want to say this. A lot of people, myself included, have said that he's the arm is washed up. It's time to hang it up. It's over.
We said that about Manning?
I did.
I thought we said that about Breeze.
I said it about both of them. I can only eat one plate of crow at a time. Quit jumping ahead of me. But again, not to take anything away from Manning, but Denver's defense held Aaron Rodgers to 77 yards passing Sunday night. They gave up 10 points. And when you only need 11 or more to win, I say the defense gets credit for that victory. And I watched most of that game. And Rodgers he was harassed the entire night. A lot of teams let him get out, run around, get out of the pocket, look downfield, do his damage that way. He was contained all night. He had no breathing room.
Well, 77 yards.
The Denver defense smothered it.
Yeah. That was definitely defense win right there. But Peyton Manning, he did a good job managing. He was calling the right audibles.
Well, sure.
Like
well,
that.
I know. I mean, he's always going to do that.
Definitely. I mean, like you said, we're not taking away from him, but the defense won that game.
In my mind, the defense won the game, but he threw for 340 yards.
Yeah, no touchdowns. I guess they were wanting to give Hillman and CJ a chance. I don't know. That's just kind of the way this offense works. Oh, go ahead.
They get usually when they get down close, they're spending more time running than throwing, and we saw that last year, which is why C.J. Anderson was such a high fantasy draft pick this year, because he had touchdowns at the wazoo in the last 1/3 of last season.
And I think that was because Peyton Manning was secretly hurt, and they just didn't want to tell anybody.
Well, I mean, supposedly the NFL has this thing about you've got to reveal injuries, but
maybe he didn't reveal his injury.
I guess that's possible. But
so here's Drew Brees.
But the crowning jewel in that weekend,
he got 300 yards, 4 touchdowns at halftime.
Ended up with 511 yards on 40 of 50 and 7 touchdowns. And I'll tell you, I watched the game. I was back and forth between that game and the Steelers game, and the Saints. And Brees, he made the long throws extremely well.
So this was the original crow plate you were wanting to eat.
Well, I don't want to, but I have to. Not only Brees looked great, and he looked really good the previous game against Indianapolis. And I understand the level of competition, but a great throw is a great throw.
Well, I mean, in your defense, he was making some ugly little 35-yarders and stuff that he could easily throw left-handed. I've seen him do it in the past, but he was throwing some ugly passes.
Well, he was, and
you can only assume, he's his arm's shot.
Well, and they were attributed to injury. There was some ugliness last year I saw too, but now there was talk that there was an injury then. Whether it's injury or no injury or whatever, he looked great. You don't complete 40 out of 50 for 511 yards and 7 touchdowns if you're a bad quarterback. I understand it wasn't against a great team. I get that. But also, thanks to my research out of New Orleans, that victory was on the 48th anniversary. That victory was on the 48th anniversary of the Saints becoming a franchise on November 1st, 1967. So it was indeed All Saints Day in more ways than one. Elsewhere in the NFL, the Steelers, in order to even have a chance to win their division, they had to beat Cincinnati.
Yeah.
They didn't. Ben was rusty. The first touchdown drive was great. I mean, they went right down the field. He throws a touchdown pass to Antonio Brown. I thought, well, okay, this looks good.
So we did have this conundrum with our fantasy where we were like, Roethlisberger, Brady, who do we play? We went with Brady, so y'all know.
Yeah.
And that was obviously the right choice.
That was the right choice. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough of a right choice to overcome some of the other shortcomings in the lineup.
Oh, we ended up losing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we
that
did.
Sucks.
Martavis Bryant and Antonio Brown were subpar because Roethlisberger was subpar.
Yep.
And we had other issues up and down the lineup. It really wasn't even that close. But so anyway, the Steelers, they will not win their division. Nobody in that division except the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win that division. So now anybody in there is playing for wild card. And speaking of wild card, the Raiders, who we said in our football preview, we thought that they were a surprise to the upside team.
Yeah, they were a little underrated.
Yes. And they are quietly playing their way into wild card contention. Now, they're not going to win their division because they're in there with Denver.
Yeah.
So they will not win the AFC West.
But they're definitely getting in there for wild card.
They are definitely on the improvement. And the Dallas Cowboys lost their 5th in a row, and the rant of the week goes to Dez Bryant.
Yeah.
Last week was Greg Hardy.
What was wrong with him?
He's losing.
So that's why he was freaking out?
Why not? I mean, it's nothing we haven't seen before.
Little titty baby.
So I think it was, I saw somebody else throw a hissy last week.
Hardy?
Hardy. And I haven't thrown one all year, mainly because I haven't
been
playing, so I have to hissy up. I mean, when one child in a household sees another one throw a hissy, doesn't he think he's owed one?
Sure.
Yes. The Cowboys are a disaster. And I understand the injuries. I get that. Because I'm watching it with my 1A favorite team, the Steelers. I'm seeing it, but no team melts down just quite like the Cowboys.
So yesterday, the trade deadline was up in the NFL.
It's today.
Oh, no, it's today.
It's today.
So today was, but Vernon Davis got traded yesterday to Denver Broncos.
From San Francisco.
Yes. I say that's a good move.
I say it's good for Vernon Davis.
Yeah, good for Vernon Davis. They're clearly getting ready for a Super Bowl run.
Denver is.
Yeah, they Julius Thomas was their
yeah,
guy.
Yeah, he's in Jacksonville now.
Yeah. They he doesn't have to be any Gronkowski type tight end, but he just got to do what Julius Thomas was doing for him, and I think he's going to be good there for Vernon. I mean, he's pretty late in his career. He'd be on these old guys' list too if we weren't doing quarterbacks.
Well, yeah, he's been around a while. What's your take on, speaking of teams that are going nowhere fast, like the Cowboys, and unfortunately, it's like the Steelers also. What's your take on what's going on in San Francisco this year? They're 2-6, and by the way, even though they have 2 wins, their point differential to -98 is the biggest in the NFL this year.
Well, I've already said, their best person there is now gone, or maybe you said that. But anyways, I'm sticking to that. They're, I don't know, reaping what they sow. They got rid of him, and now.
Well, they got rid of Coach Harbaugh.
Yeah,
and he was undermined all last year, and they basically ran him out of town. And so look what they have. The GM there, and the guy's name escapes me right now, but is just completely. Well, they're benching Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, I know. Why don't they let him play one more week for the bye?
I don't. That doesn't fix anything.
Yeah, I guess so.
It doesn't fix anything. While he's not playing well, and he regressed a little bit last year from the year before, I don't think you can put this on his shoulders. I think team management is where the blame lies here. On to college. Last weekend in college.
Duke at Miami. Let's get straight into that fiasco.
Miami at Duke.
Oh yeah. Miami
it was in North Carolina. It was in whatever city.
Dukesville.
Yeah. Gosh.
So they had this Miami. Did Miami got the win, right?
They did.
Even though they suspended all the refs, they still kept
2 games. The whole ref crew and the replay officials as well suspended for multiple screw-ups on that last play. Now, let me ask you this. Should the league, even though there's not a mechanism in place to do this, should the league change the results of the game because it happened on the last play? Why not?
Because they would have to change other rules, because nothing is reviewable after it says 0-0 on the clock, right?
No, they were reviewing the play.
So they could have.
Time ran out during the play.
Oh, so no, that's true.
They can't, and they spent 9 minutes reviewing it.
Because LSU at Tennessee one year, they brought it back and gave them another play.
But they gave it. There was no other play to be had in this game.
I was just under the impression that they didn't allow.
No, I'm not saying do you put it out there and let them replay the play. I'm saying, does the league the next day say the errors were so egregious, and we are acknowledging that by suspending the crew 2 games, that we're going to award the game, basically a forfeit by Miami, and give the game. I'm saying,
what did they suspend those refs for?
For incompetence and being wrong.
Just missing
on the last play of the game.
That gave Miami the win?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say whatever the call was, that guy was down, or this was a forward lateral, or whatever, call the play dead. Yeah, so they don't get that touchdown.
So you're saying the league then, the day after, again, I'm not talking about the review process, which failed.
The day after, yes.
The day after, the league says, we, the ACC, give the win to Duke.
Do you agree with that?
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
I said yes 3 times.
Okay. I think it marks a dangerous precedence to start doing that. I could see an argument being made for doing it since it was the last play of the game. But I don't like that. However, I don't like it without a mechanism already being in place. I say in the off season, maybe leagues can address if something happens on the last play of the game that is so bad we have to suspend the officiating crew. Can we award the losing team the win?
So, I mean, what's the real? I mean,
the bottom line is I think Duke is just screwed this time.
Yeah,
but I know in
the past, like I mentioned with LSU, Tennessee, they let them replay, but the replay officials were even wrong on this one, so it had to get caught the next day or that night or whatever.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess I agree. Duke's just screwed here. They didn't get to replay the down. Nothing's going to come out of this. And I guess they don't really have a rule where you can just strike a win off of someone.
And that's what I'm saying. They don't.
Yeah.
But I'd kind of like to see maybe something be put in place for down the road in case something like this happens again. Jumping into another game, Minnesota at Michigan. No, I'm sorry, it's the other way around. Michigan and Minnesota. Minnesota, on the last play of the game, instead of going for a game tying field goal to send it in overtime, decides at home to try to run it in from the 2. Time runs out. They don't get in. They lose the game. Do you agree with trying for the win?
No. Kick the field goal. Tie it up. Go into overtime.
At home? Yes, yeah, I agree. Yeah. What about on the road? Do you try for the win?
No. Go for the field
goal. So you
like
the field goal approach whether you're at home or on the road?
Yeah.
I like the going for the win approach on the road. I like for taking the field goal.
Well, why the difference?
Home. Because you have the crowd behind you at home. And you have just created the tie. I think you had the home crowd excited. I like your chances if you go for the field goal at home, but they didn't, and they lost the game.
I think the excitement is there even when you tie it up with the field goal.
Well, that's what – at home, yes. That's what I'm saying. Go with the excitement of the crowd at home. On the road, I go for the win.
Huh. Okay.
Florida defeated UGA in the cocktail game. Florida basically, unless they just completely come undone, has the SEC East locked up, and they will be in the SEC championship game against who knows from the West. It's still wide open.
So speaking of hissy fits in the NFL, we had one.
Brian Kelly actually physically
pushed.
Yeah,
I mean he pushed.
He did, and it was a hard
assistant
push.
coach.
Yeah, an assistant coach. Research shows that Brian Kelly has anger issues. This isn't the first incident of him having some problems, and I don't think you can physically go after somebody else without there being repercussions. I think the school has to come down on him on this.
Or have they?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything on it either. Oklahoma State at Texas Tech.
Yeah, Texas
like
Tech scored 53 points and still managed to lose by 17. The Big 12 is arena football.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what it is. Every week in that league, you see teams scoring 50, 55, 60 or more points. It's not what I like in watching football. If I wanted to watch arena football, I would watch it. I mean, I pay attention because some of the teams in there are, in the playoff conversation.
Yeah.
But I don't like 60 and 70 point games. I mean, you see a lot of
college. You like to see some sort of defense?
I like to see defense. Yeah, I do.
All right, moving
on to our famous 3-year-old now. The most famous 3-year-old in the world. He won the Breeders' Cup Classic, American Pharaoh. That retires him now.
He won the Grand Slam.
He did win the
only one able and capable.
So now we actually have something.
Yeah.
We have the Triple Crown, which we've had for a long time, but now we have the, quote, Grand Slam.
Does he get some kind of something for that?
Well, he got $8.63 million for the entire career, which again only spanned 11 races.
Yeah,
and he's retired.
And let's see, and they sold his what?
They sold his breeding rights even before he ran in the Kentucky Derby.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. But so what? They pay based on how he does.
Well,
how does that work?
There's his breeding that goes into it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's somebody, they're already paying for
his dad.
his sire and dam.
Okay.
There's already that goes into it. Then you see some results on the track, and again he had already had an impressive resume before he even runs in the Kentucky Derby.
So you sell it. So it was sold money in the bank or
money in the bank.
Oh, okay.
Now the syndicate that buys it, then they put him up for stud. And then they receive money. Well, it's not an auction. No, they receive money per stud service.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Per pop.
Mm-hmm.
So it's looking like it's going to be right around $200,000 per.
Jeez.
And this will be done between, say, 100 and 150 times over the course of just next year when breeding season starts in February. So, just 100.
That's animal cruelty.
Really? I would love to be put out to stud service. I don't think it's
100 times a year?
Yes. So let's say 200,000 per and 100. That's $20 million.
Wow.
That's just
for the stud owners.
Yeah.
That are selling this guy.
So, in case you were wondering, why retire a horse like this after only 11 races?
I was wondering that.
And he makes $8.6 million in what is really considered a high-risk job.
Yeah, because
you can get hurt.
One fall.
Right. Could
broken leg.
Yeah, it could be the end of everything.
Now, let me ask you this. You said his rights were already bought. So, if he breaks a leg in the Breeders' Cup and loses...
Well, I mean, there's insurance. There's insurance, but it's very costly to insure these thoroughbreds like this.
So they'll fix them up and...
Well, sometimes you can't fix them. There's just insured, I mean, you would get a sum of money, but it's not going to be anywhere near his future earnings as a stud. So there was a risk. There was a risk in running him. Every time a horse goes out on a track, there's a risk. Just like every time a football player goes out on a field, there's a risk.
So they sold him out. He's no longer racing, right?
He will not race anymore. He's retired after 11 races. Now, he had 8 races this year at 7 different tracks. One thing that, that's impressive in addition to what he accomplished on the track was the fact that he traveled over 20,000 miles.
That's a lot of running.
In order to accomplish it. Well, the big part of it was in a plane. In fact, the nickname of the plane, Air Horse One. So Pharaoh goes out in style with a 6.5 length victory, running 1.25 miles in 2 minutes flat.
So would we say that's a domination?
That is 6.5 length victory against a field like this.
Yeah,
yes.
Because I remember you were. I mean, I was thinking a nose or two would be the...
I did too. I was surprised to see him run away with it the way he did.
Now, what's the mare?
Beholder dropped out on Thursday. There was some health issues with her. I don't think she would have beat him. I just flat out don't think it. But she might have pressed the pace a little bit. She might have come in second. I don't know. Nobody was going to beat him the way he ran the other day. I mean, that was his fastest 1.25 miles of his 1.25 miles races. And he looked well rested. Hindsight says running him in the Traverse, where he finished second by 3/4 of a length, probably was asking a little much, but he was well rested in this. He hadn't run since August 29th, so that was 9 weeks. And again, he ran away wire to wire in the victory. And so for
wire to wire means you start out in the lead
and you never relinquish that lead. That was the way he won the Belmont as well, and most of his wins. He's not a blazing early speed runner, but he has enough early speed to get out there.
What was the last? No, the Preakness, the second one in between.
The Preakness is yeah.
He stumbled a little or something.
I think he just a little bit coming out. There was one of the races, and I think that was it. That was the one that was on the sloppy track that the thunderstorm hit right before, and I mean it was absolutely sloppy. But most lead runners like the slop. And he did, and he ran away with that race. In fact, most of his margins of victory are 6, 7, 8 lengths, and even though they were in Grade 1 stakes races. So, again, one of the greats of all time. We'll leave it at that. But I think if you start the conversation with all-time great thoroughbreds, you got Secretariat, Man of War are up there.
Now I'd say he's topped them, huh?
No, he has no. Not on 11 races. I don't think you can. And nothing. He didn't do anything like Secretariat in the Belmont with a 31 length victory.
That's true.
However, I say he's in the conversation with all of the other greats. Seattle Slew, Spectacular Bid, all of the previous Triple Crown winners. He's right there. He's right there in the conversation. Yes.
LSU, Alabama.
LSU, Alabama coming up. This is a game that you don't have to be an LSU fan. You don't have to be a BAMA fan. You don't even have to be an SEC fan.
You don't even have to be a football fan.
Well,
and this would be an awesome game.
This is a big game. Yeah. For the 6th time in the past 8 meetings that they meet, both of these teams are ranked in the top 10.
Wow.
Now, when you think of great rivalry games in the country now, you got Michigan, Ohio State. You got like Notre Dame, USC, certainly Army, Navy, but that's more of a tradition thing. Not that they're putting great teams on the field.
I think LSU, Bama more out of tradition. It's just they're always going for the top contender.
Well, in the past decade or so,
Yeah.
that's it.
They're always
that's why. I mean,
they got to knock each other off to get to the top.
Usually, almost always, at least in the past decade, the winner of this game goes on to win the SEC West and then ends up playing in the national championship game. Although last year Alabama played in the semifinal game and lost, and they weren't in the national championship game. But that being said, this game is important to the states of Louisiana and Alabama. It's important to the SEC. It's important to the entire college football watching world. LSU's ranked 4th and undefeated. Bama's ranked 7th and lost once to Ole Miss. However, Bama is a 7-point favorite.
That's got to be because they're at home. It's got to be.
What do you think?
Well, I'm thinking LSU's got them on offense, and their defense can hold them just enough to. I think it'll be 7 points the other way for LSU.
I'm thinking LSU by 3 or 4 is my lean. Now, here's what it does: it pits strength versus strength. Alabama has the best run defense in the SEC. LSU has the best run offense in the SEC. However, what we've seen in the past few weeks is the emergence of Brandon Harris.
And you can't stack Fournette anymore.
I don't think
which
you
was
can.
Probably when they saw how LSU was doing, week 3-4, they were probably like, well, we'll just
load the box.
Yeah, load the box, kill Fournette, and it's over.
And it's over.
And
I
can't do that.
Here's what I still think: they will still make Harris beat them. They will still, to some extent, load the box and say, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us with Harris and not with Fournette. But they won't be able to do it as easily and as without paying any attention to the passing game. They have to pay some attention to the passing game.
And you could almost say you don't have to worry about it. Therefore, the beginning of the year. And actually, these two teams kind of weren't looking good at the beginning of the year. They weren't losing, but they just weren't looking good. I mean, we were criticizing them early on, and now we're kind of praising them. They've definitely got in their groove, and they're flowing now.
Well, what more than anything, and LSU still has their issues with the there's been special teams problems.
Yes, there is.
There have been some defensive back breakdowns, allowing big passing plays. However, I don't think either one of those weaknesses plays that much into Bama's strengths. Bama's not a great passing team. They're not a great offensive team. They are a great defensive team. So, again, the emergence of Harris, and here's what I like as much as his actual throws, is the fact that when he gets flushed out of the pocket,
he keeps his eyes.
He keeps his eyes downfield. Yeah. He keeps looking. He doesn't panic and just run.
He's not just trying to get out of the situation.
Some of his best touchdown passes this year has been when he's been flushed.
Under pressure, running out.
Yeah.
Running out of bounds, throwing across his body to the left. Now 40 yards.
He hasn't thrown an interception yet this year.
Really?
He'll throw one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Because here's what's going to happen: the announcing crew will say he hasn't thrown an interception yet this year, and then within the next 3 passes, he'll throw an interception. That's my prediction. But I do think LSU wins by 3 or 4. I think if you're going to bet this game, you take LSU in the points, and I think LSU wins and legitimizes all of this. They deserve to be in the playoff talks. I don't think they've earned it
if they win this game.
If they win this, obviously,
I definitely agree with that. If they, there's and we aren't bringing this up on the show, but there are 5 big games, that I was kind of looking at that decide
between
the playoff
now and
picture.
the end of the year.
Yeah. And in November mostly, that pretty much decide the playoff picture, and this is one of them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for our Mad Dash.
Oh wow, really?
Yep.
Wow, that was it.
The World Series goes 5 games. Is it an epic series if it doesn't go 7?
Yeah.
You think this one was?
Yeah. I mean,
why?
Because if you can knock an opponent out as quick as possible, or almost as quick as possible, that's pretty epic.
Well, it's epic for that team.
Yeah.
But as fans watching, is it an epic series?
No, because even like say NBA Finals, I don't want them to go all 7. I want the best team to win as fast as possible. Show me you're the champs.
So that makes it an epic World Series in your eyes.
Sure.
I would typically disagree. I would say that a series needs to go 7 to be epic. one thing that I think helps this one out a little bit is the first game and the last game were extra inning games, with the first one being the longest World Series game ever.
The first game was two games.
So you're saying it went 6, huh?
Yeah.
I almost kind of want to give it an epic, because the way Kansas City came from behind, they were down 2-0 going into the 7th inning Sunday night.
Yep.
And, partly some meltdown and some bad decisions and some errors on the Mets. But Kansas City's just relentless, and they just keep coming at you. They keep hitting the ball. They don't strike out much.
They do not strike out. I mean, they will hit fouls and dink fouls and swing at everything until they get on base.
They did strike out some Sunday night, which was very, very rare. But once they found their groove, they just kept on, and then they had a 5-run 12th, and obviously it was over. I think it was a great series. Here's a little bit of trivia: they haven't won the World Series since 1985, 30 years ago.
Wow.
Next year will be 30 years since the Mets won. Now, the Royals won after going and losing last year.
Mm-hmm.
Will the Mets win next year after going and losing this year? There's your Back to the Future prediction for me.
Oh, okay. So, your 1 year prediction?
Yes, my 1 year prediction. And again,
I hold you to it.
Thanks to the research team for that.
Thank you, John Springer research team. Predictions on the NFL? Oh, that's like coming up games?
Yeah. Real quick. Cleveland at Cincinnati Thursday night.
Don't care.
Cincinnati.
Yes, Cincinnati's got their division. It's not a
Green Bay at Carolina.
I'm gonna say Green Bay. They're not gonna lose 2 straight.
Okay. Washington at New England.
That's New England.
Tennessee at New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna, even though I feel like I might jinx them now by predicting them, because I keep saying they're gonna lose and they keep winning, and I keep having to eat crow. Fried crow is going to be my particular way that I want it served up. But anyway, I'm gonna go with the Saints on that one. They're on a roll, and Tennessee.
Well, congratulations, Tennessee.
Tennessee just lost to Houston.
Yeah.
Miami at Buffalo.
Miami.
I'm gonna go with Buffalo in the cold weather. Miami might have shot their 2-game wad under this new coach. I don't know. I was surprised at how bad they looked last Thursday night against New England.
Well, it was against New England, though.
I know, but they didn't even compete. St. Louis at Minnesota. It's an intriguing game,
yeah,
because both teams are quietly kind of under the radar, playing well and working their way into wild card contention. So that's a very important game for NFC wildcard standings.
I'm going to say St. Louis.
I agree. Jacksonville at the Jets.
Jets.
Oakland at Pittsburgh.
I'm going to go with the Raiders.
I'm going to say Pittsburgh. I always had some doubts about Pittsburgh with Big Ben's first game back. I knew he was going to be rusty. He was. Although they lost Le'Veon Bell for the season.
Yeah.
So they will have gone the entire season without all 4 of their big,
healthy guys.
Guys healthy at the same time. So
the
Giants at Tampa. Man, Tampa just beat Atlanta. I don't know what's going on with the Falcons.
Giants.
Atlanta at Frisco.
Atlanta.
Yeah, I agree, Atlanta. Denver at Indianapolis.
That's a good one always.
That is a good one.
And that's just one of those rivalry games just because Manning left there,
Right.
And
I tell you what, man, after what I saw the Denver defense do the other night,
I'm saying Denver.
I am
for
too.
sure.
I am too. Philadelphia at Dallas. This is the Sunday night game.
That's always a good one too. Where's it at?
It's at Dallas.
I'm gonna say Dallas then.
I'm gonna go with Philadelphia and hope I'm right, just because I want to see who melts down this week for the Cowboys. And in a dog game on Monday night, Chicago at San Diego. San Diego's got to be one of the biggest disappointments in the NFL this year. I think they've got 2 wins. Phillip Rivers is having a MVP type year with his numbers, but they've got 2 wins. So, obviously he's not going to be MVP with that kind of record going. But Chicago at San Diego. I'm going to say San Diego.
Yeah, I'm going to say Chicago, just to get some contrast in here.
I like it. I like it. Okay, so that's it for this week's Sports Shorts. I want to thank you for joining us and listening in. And tell a neighbor, tell a friend, tell somebody. And
yeah, for real. Time that's everyone's most valuable thing, and taking even 30 minutes out of your day is, I mean, we are so grateful for it. You have no idea.
Absolutely.
But if you want to tell people about us, we're on Facebook, Boomer and X Show. We have our website, theboomerandxshow.com. Email is theboomerandxshow@yahoo. We try and keep it easy, even though it's a long word, the Boomer and X Show. And we're on Twitter, @Boomer and X Show. So, like John said, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your pastor, tell, everybody, and we'll try and keep this show listenable and entertaining for all of y'all. As always, thank you for listening, and y'all have a good one. So, John, you got anything else? I'm all out of words.
I was out of words about 35 seconds ago.
All right, y'all take it easy.